This week, I had plans of using VoiceThread to introduce the module. However, there's an issue with recording, so I had to move to recording on a PowerPoint and then uploading to YouTube. Hopefully, this issue will be resolved by the time you get to try it in a few weeks for the assignment. It's a great tool for short audio video, and as CSUF students, you have access to the premium version. The premium version allows for automatic closed captions, which you have to turn on when recording, and it also allows for unlimited threads. I'm only using a PowerPoint, but you can use screen recordings, upload images, include video of yourself. What I love about it is you can invite collaborators and you can also allow comments. So let's think about that, and we'll get started with week 1 review. So week 1, what an awesome start. I was bragging about how engaged everyone is and sharing how you're making great connections with the content. I think you all now realize that DE, remote teaching, and online teaching and learning are not one and the same. I loved that you picked up on DE being kind of the broad term, remote being rather teacher-centered, and online, such as this program, hopefully being student-centered. It was great that you connected the online to being flexible and purposeful and equitable. The one thing I want you to be very, very clear on is that remote and emergency remote are not the same. Remote teaching has been around a long time. I shared a video in Keith's thread about the Australian School of the Air that started in the 1950s. Other forms of distance ed that were not raised included correspondence school, where the teacher and learner actually mail things to each other. This was very common in higher education and in rural areas until the internet made its way into education. Also consider the role that television plays. When I taught 3rd grade in Vegas, the students took Spanish via the TV. Now, it was interesting to dive into AI. For some of you, it was the first time, and I really appreciate that you kept an open mind. Others, you're frequent users, and I appreciate that you shared specifically how you've used it. Many of you were surprised at the speed and found that the AI-generated summary was mostly accurate. You shared that it mostly validated your understanding, but I'm curious, did you check the references? ChatGPT in particular has a very nasty habit of kind of making up references or adding a reference in citations that are not relevant. One thing to think about that was not necessarily raised was K-12 student use. I want you to always be cognizant of age requirements on software used in education. Most common software and apps, such as the infamous TikTok, banned and then unbanned, and the like, have age restrictions of 13. School districts, by law, and we'll get into that, mandate strict policies for educational software and apps. I also want you to be on the lookout for bias. AI-generated content is notorious for being biased. I included the question about consequences, as I want you to know that yes, there are consequences in this program. You will see there are times we actually want you to use AI, and there are times that we explicitly state not to. Now, this slide that you can read for yourself, it's an AI-generated summary of the discussion. It's a new feature in Canvas. What are your thoughts? I highlighted some areas of concern that I have with the AI-generated summary. Now, what's happening in week 2? This week it's time to get familiar with standards. Of course, because this is of course on distance ed, I want you to know that there actually are standards for online teaching and online programs. Make sure you spend no more than 2 hours looking at the different resources linked on the second tab. Once you're ready, join our discussion. As you did in week 1, be honest. It's okay to say you knew nothing. Also make sure you're making reference to what you read. This provides context as well as credibility. You'll also begin the group literature review project, and I heard you groan when you heard me say group. Don't worry, I promise it will not be as awful as it was in high school when you did all the work. If you follow directions as outlined, it's going to be empowering and it could even be enjoyable. I go into more detail on the next slide. Mainly, read the assignment carefully. This week, you'll use discussion 2.2 to form a group. Share topics that interest you. You'll also see some potential topics listed. Make sure you read all the posts before posting your own ideas. Try to make one of the meetings. They're informal with no agenda, but an opportunity to meet each other, meet me, ask questions about the course or the program. So, more about the research project. As a master's level student, every course in this program has a writing component. That's what makes a master's a master's. In this course, it's the group project. We do it as a group because in Stephanie's class, you're just exploring how to locate, read, and synthesize research to write a literature review. What you do in this class will help you in EDEL 511. You may even choose the same topic. You may end up working with the same people as a peer review group for EDEL 511. Good reason to be the best team player ever. The meetings we have in week 4 will be an opportunity for me to help you with the synthesis of the research. In week 3, you'll be locating, reading your research on your topic. Now, a quick Canvas tip for the week. If you felt a little bit overwhelmed by all of the posts and all of the threads, you can click on the little arrow on each thread and it will show you how many of the posts are in the thread. That is it from me. Please remember, this is a stress-free zone. Don't suffer in silence. If you're feeling lost, send me a Vox. Make sure you join the meetings. Have a great week.